Hi everybody, I'm Claire Wynn, and tonight we are having a chat with Heather Reiss-James and Lou Reiss-James of Ascension Explorers, and they've got some exciting stuff to tell us about their Pleiadian activation, so we're looking forward to hearing about that. But first of all, just a wee bit about you guys. Tell us about you.
Well, what can I say? Louise and I met in 2008, and we became good friends, and I did some energy healing work with her, and that activated a lot of her latent giftings of channeling. And so we realized very quickly that we had a complementary situation when it came to energies, like the positive and negative of a battery. So we started working with the channeled energies that came through and testing them, etc., and then started bringing through some very clear messages and having a lot of fun. But in 2009, when we were overseas, we were invited overseas to work with some people, actually in Kauai, around a dinner table, I believe it was. We actually set up Ascension Explorers, brought the website into fruition, and started really developing what we had to offer to the rest of the world. But more on that and how we got together and what really happened in another interview.
That's a little bit of a teaser.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so we'll look forward to finding out more about that shortly. All right, another interview. So tell me about the Pleiadian activation. How did that come about?
Well, in 2007, 2008, I was working with energy healing anyway, and around about 2008, 2009, I was told, I think Katumi.
Yeah, it was Katumi. Yeah.
Katumi Lal Singh, that Lou also partners with and brings through as in semi-trance channel state, said to me that the healing that I was doing would be expanded. There'll be more that will come about if I was to allow it and be open to that. And so we got the heads up that the Pleiadian energies that have been working with us, in fact, Platorans was the first energy that Louise brought through. And in 2010, we invited him back, and he decided that he would work with us in bringing through what we have called the continuation, which is a Pleiadian activation. He wanted to ground it into the humanity and invited us.
That's right.
So that was us. That was our calling card. And little did we know what was going to unfold once we put up our hands for that assignment. It's been quite a journey, but very, very beautiful.
Absolutely. It's been astronomical for me to work with a Pleiadian such as Platorans, seeing the healing through his eyes when he works with people, seeing him sort of like knit DNA strands together and all sorts of stuff. It's an absolute unique experience for myself. If anything, it makes me more and more aware that I'm nothing but a hose pipe for the universal energy to work through. So yeah, it is absolutely brilliant.
Wonderful. You know, I've met Platorans, incredibly magic. So, you know, people may be going, who's Platorans? So tell us a little bit about Platorans.
Well, Platorans is, as I say, my Pleiadian mentor. He is an energy that I channel, I bring through, who happens to be really close at the moment.
I can see that.
And
flash of light that went up there. Yeah, exciting.
And he's basically been with us through the whole process of teaching us, training us. He's a lovely energy. He is so honorable that, you know, if he's amongst friends, when I bring him through, he'll just step through. But if there is one person who is new to his energy, he will always ask permission to come through. He is, you know, he's just that respectful of people. He has brought this through. He's taught it through myself. He calls himself a healer, but he doesn't like to use terminology. He likes to use the word facilitator, because he believes that we can all heal ourselves, and we just need assistance to connect to the correct power of universal energy, and that's where the facilitators come into play. I really can't explain more other than he's one of my best friends. Does that sound too simple?
Well, sometimes simplicity is the thing, isn't it? Wonderful. Okay, so, for a lot of people who are listening to this, they'll be thinking, well, there are a lot of activation potentials out there for them in terms of where they may go to get that support. So what would you say about the uniqueness of what you're offering through the Pleiadian activation?
Well, I think the Pleiadian activation, which we've called the continuation, the original activation, or the first activation, activates your grid lines, which really creates this whole connection to the cosmic, to the universe, and to Gaia, Mother Earth, and your own grid lines. A lot of people come to us and they're very disconnected from that universal energy, and it absolutely connects everybody up. There's a whole lot of other things that happen as well, including bringing in the gifts and the knowledge from past lifetimes that can serve you in this lifetime. It's a gathering in of many activations from many lifetimes, bringing it into the fold of this lifetime. So it's very unique in that regard, and I think it's also very unique because it continues on. You don't need to keep coming back for repeat continuations, but you're welcome to do 3 or 4 with us if you feel so. We're not looking for repeat clientele. We're looking for people that become self-empowered with their own self-healing abilities. It's extremely powerful too, particularly when Platorans comes through and works and shows us how to work with the DNA. He may want to answer some of these questions as we move on, because I'm feeling, I say his energy quite close to us at this time, and that would be welcomed, of course.
Yeah. I'll see if he'll come in. But with one of the things with the uniqueness of it is that, as Heather said, it's not for repeat clientele, but we do advise people to have like their first session, which is that re-knitting, that reconnecting, that regrounding yourself back to yourself, because it is a very holistic healing modality, which deals with the not only your physical, but your mental, your emotional, and your energetic bodies, because each of these are bodies within themselves, and the Pleiadian activation, the continuation, knits everything back together and stitches all the tears together to bring that completeness, that holistic feel back into who we are as a being. And it's from that place that we found, not only in our own lives, but also with people that have come back to us, where that initial one has set the foundation, and they've had an intent of wanting to be healed or just having a particular thing come through. And then they've come back and they've said, now I know what else I need. Now I know where else I need to have be activated, or have the continuation work in my life. And so we're able to assist them in that way. So yeah, it is it's unique, where it is a step by step, but it's also one will do or 4 will do. It's not continual.
Can I turn the tables on the interviewer? I believe the interviewer has actually received her own continuation. Quite right back when we first started bringing it through.
Yeah. Okay, what would you like to ask?
Well, maybe you could share a little bit about your experience, because you're going to ask us what it's like, aren't you, as well?
Yes, I certainly am. For me, I found it very empowering, and I just totally gelled with Platorans. The love energy was beautiful. It brought me back to a place of peace and inner knowing. I feel like when he was working with me, I understood more about myself and my connection with my higher self and source. So it was a very holistic approach. And the other thing that I loved about it is the modality, or that may not be the right word, but it had a sense of I could continue doing this on my own. So it was very empowering, and I didn't need to rely and come back to you guys. I can continue with that modality on my own.
That's right.
So that was really exciting for me. Yeah, so absolutely lovely. And I've had a couple of other experiences with Platorans too, have been absolutely magic. Yeah. So, what's your experience, and especially with having worked with a lot of people in the activations, what sort of feedback do you get? What do people say is different in their life as a result of it? And what have you experienced?
Well, for when I first received my continuation, I wow, it was so profound. I just felt this total connection to my Pleiadian DNA, if I can use those words. This blue flood through me, flood of energy and flood of light. It was profound, almost like a gentle electric shock washing through my body. It was extremely profound and very meaningful. And, you know, and I think the first one was the best in that regard, but I've had different occasions where I've called on Platorans for healing for different things. And also as a student and a facilitator also of this, I've had to workshop it within our own, you know, incubus, if you like, many times. So I've had a lot of experience. But as for other people that have come to us, it's many and varied. We've seen many different reactions, all sorts of different things. Some people seem to experience nothing, then afterwards they'll ring us up and go, well, guess what happened? And other people have a lot of experiences and then we'll never hear from them again. It's totally fine. It's unique. We're only the facilitators, the hose pipes of the universe. It's not up to us to expect a certain thing from people. We are there to facilitate their intent. We've had people that have come with, one lady came with tumours, and we didn't really know that she had cancerous tumours until she rang us up 2 months later and said, I didn't tell you the full story, but the doctors now told me that the cancerous tumours that I came to you with have now decreased, and he doesn't know why. There might have been something wrong with the original tests, and we all laughed, of course. So we've had lovely stories like that where people have been very pleased, but they've got to remember that they've been a very important part of that. So we've had we've seen all sorts of things happen. And even today we were speaking to a dear friend who we worked on her hand, and we were talking to her about the continuation. Then partway through she said, I remember about my hand and I wondered why it wasn't sore and didn't have this rash anymore. Then I remembered I had the continuation with you guys, the activation and all of that. And I said, well, there you are. She said, so sometimes it's very simple, sometimes it's very profound. Everybody's different, Claire. Everybody's different, but it's always a surprise and it's always a pleasure. Whoever ends up walking through our door or contacts us through the internet, they're in the right place at the right time, and it's all perfect.
So it sounds like it follows a very important philosophy around the principle around personal responsibility. So rather than you're seeing that it's the activation that's doing the healing, it's the hose pipe and people are healing themselves through their intent. And that's quite interesting because you've mentioned a couple of times about intent. So tell us more about that. So what do you mean by intent, and why is that so important in this healing process?
If I may join the conversation.
Welcome, Platorans.
Indeed I am Platorans, and it is a unique way of communication. You are speaking of that which is the intent. The intents are, shall we say, the epistle, the way of communication of your energy to the energy of the universe, to Gaia, to all that is in the collective energy of universe, the universal energy of healing. When you hide and keep quiet the purpose within you, there is no vocalization, there is no release of energy. It is just something that is hidden deep within, which is why we say, we encourage that when you begin to come to the facilitation, that you bring with you, perhaps on some paper or in your mind, that which you wish to connect in the energy to. So you begin to speak it. When you speak it, you are inserting it into the pregnancy, the void of the nothingness of the universal space, which means that you are now impregnating something with the intent, the reason, that which is the power of your desire. So you come because you are in pain or in dis-ease or in discomfort, or you have the unquieted mind, you have the legs that are aching, you have the body that is not functioning, the bones that are out of sync with each other and they are in pain. You have perhaps the heart that does not pump properly. You have things that are physically out of sorts. You have perhaps an energetic disconnect. You are energetically broken. Because believe me, my dear friends, that the energetic body can just be as deformed at times as the physical. When you speak to the universe and you say, this is my intent. My intent is that I receive the highest healing for me today, that I bring into alignment this or this or this, that this, I am allowing this to happen. And these are very important words. I allow, I give permission, I step into, because they are words of action. They are not words of just resignation. And they are also important because what they are saying is, I, the individual, I, the human, I have my intent. I have my reason for being here. This is my reason. You give it to the facilitators. The facilitators speak it back to you. The universe is hearing now a dual empowerment. And it goes, here is something I can bring about the fulfillment. I can work with this individual, this receiver, based on the power of their intent and what they believe for themselves. Because you see, when you come and you just say, yep, I want to be healed, then you may be healed. But the minute you walk out the door, your healing is gone because you did not connect into it. You did not have a valid reason. But when you take time to write it out, when you take time to ponder and you take time to feel and to know what it is that you are wishing to connect to in the energy with your facilitators, with the universal energy, and with myself, this brings an empowering symbology of the sacred geometry, because you do it in the power of 3. You connect to the 3 points time and time again until all points are connected. Universal energy, Gaia, facilitator. Universal energy, Gaia, receiver. Receiver, facilitator, universe. Receiver, facilitator, Gaia, etc., etc. And you build this wonderful connective energy to work through. And then you begin to flow. Then you begin to work with the energy body. And I won't go into too much detail with that, for I don't want to give too much away. But you see, what we do is we do very gently and very delicately work with the intent within the energy and the emotional and the physical and the mental bodies of the individual. And there are times where I will stitch your DNA back into place. I will replace the defunct things that are missing, not because I am somebody special. Yes, I have been given by the council of the Pleiadian councils the title or the honor of being called Master Healer. But I look upon that title, that responsibility, as one who must teach, one who must share the knowledge to facilitate more, so that more can attain this healing, and so continue to live in their healing, continue to ignition their healing within themselves. And it all comes from the intent, the reason for them being there. So if there are those ready to step up and to put their intent where they truly desire it to be, then contact me and I will connect with you. So I am Platorans, yes. I hope that gives you an answer, my dear friend from Wellington. Is that correct? Yes.
That is correct, Platorans. Wonderful. Lovely to feel you again. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So are you staying with us, Platorans, or is Lou going to come back?
Perhaps we will share.
I will share. Okay, lovely. So there seems to be a very strong connection with the Pleiadians and the humans, and especially at this time. So there's some special, I guess, what the Pleiadians are offering to the humans to take us to that next level of our ascension process. I wonder if it might be quite nice to tell us a little bit about that too. So the bigger picture of ascension for us and where the Pleiadians fit into that.
Well, my understanding and knowing is that the Pleiadians helped seed our DNA some many hundreds of thousands of years ago, along with some other cosmic energies that put up their hand. And there are many humans that identify very strongly with the Pleiadian energies, knowingly or subconsciously. And that is because our DNA has the seeding of the Pleiadian DNA as well. In fact, some people have quite a large quotient. Some people have a quotient or a mix of Pleiadian and Arcturan, and we have much of the cosmic. And the Pleiadians were one of the first really to put up their hands and to meld with us, to help us with our spiritual evolution. I would like Platorans maybe to explain a little bit more in detail about that, in shorter detail than what we've probably able to do at the moment.
Many hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, yes, we were asked by Gaia to come in and assist in the ascension journey, or the spiritual growth side of humanity. And we said yes, we would come alongside many of our star family brother and sisters. The reason we have returned back at this particular time is because over the last decade, there has been a great rush of awakening. And yes, there has been an awakening both within the teachings of the Pleiadians as well as the Andromedan and the Arcturan and many other of the star families. Yes, we understand we Pleiadians are not unique in this. But because of various particular timelines, various particular ways of being, a lot has been pointed, if we would say this, at the Pleiadians have been interfering on the side of humanity and the evolution and the DNA, etc. And many humans for a long period of time feared us. They thought that we had interfered in a negative way, etc., etc. And yet, so we bring back this healing, and we present it in such a way that it is here, it is yours to accept or not. We are not, shall we say, going to be offended if you do not take it. But we say it is the healing modality, if you wish to use these words, of the star families. We have many Arcturan, many Zeta, many Andromedan, many of the Orion Belt communities. We have many of the off-planetary galactic humans coming to Pleiades, to the many healing temples of the Pleiadian peoples, to receive these types of healings, because it is a free will. It is a free will gifting to oneself, allowing the true connective energy force, yes? And so the human race, the human species is at a place where they can heal themselves, but they have to learn how to do this. So what better way than begin to show them how to reconnect their grid lines, how to connect their energy field, their energy grids, with that which is the galactic grids, with the grid lines around your planet, etc., etc. All of these are in place. We come, we present, because the humanity, we look upon them as family. We look upon them not just as a poor member of the family, but rich in knowledge, rich in learning. And we learn from many humans, just as we see that you learn from us. What do we learn? We learn companionship. We learn appreciation. We learn a vast amount of how it is to function on the human level. How does that assist us? It assists us in understanding how to redesign and reconnect and repurpose the activations that we have for you. Because the more we understand where you are at this time of frequency, then we can adjust the frequency of the activations. When we brought this through in the early years of 2010, it was at a particular frequency. Now you have grown, adjusted, and you have evolved to a different frequency. And so it is that this healing matches the frequency of this day, connecting to all the grids within Gaia, the external grids, the cosmic awarenesses, the universal energy, all of these ripples, all of these vortexal energies, all of these particular frequencies coming into play for the individual who has said to themselves, this is my moment, this is how I will connect, and I will do and create my healing.
Wonderful. Really neat to hear you say that the shift that you have noticed that's happened since the origins of this coming into the planet. And I know that the Pleiadians have been through this hundreds of thousands of years ago, having gone through a very similar process to where humanity is. And how do you think we're going?
Do you want an honest answer?
Yes.
It's an honest show.
I believe this was an interview.
It is.
Let us just say for those that will be watching this, obviously, and the fact that you are wishing this to be aimed at a particular group of beings. Yes, humanity is very much on the tipping point. Yes, you are moving more and more into a tipping point allocation again. When we say the word again, it is because there are always going to be tipping points. The higher your frequencies evolve, the higher you move up the ascension steps. So the consciousness of humanity is drawn up as well, and there is a tipping point that becomes viable where more people will awake. But at the same time, there is a tendency, or a what we would say, a grievances really in the energy at this particular moment, that there are many that are awake that are going to what we would call downgrade themselves, because they cannot sustain the energy that is coming in at this moment. But that is not a subject that we wish to talk of at this moment, but we can perhaps address it in a different time and place. But to answer your question, humanity is moving forward, perhaps not as fast as we had hoped or desired, but you are moving forward at a pace that is good for this world. It is good for the placement of the human species, and you are getting quicker.
Fantastic. So in terms of the activation, can anybody do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody who's willing and open, who arrives and goes, yes, please.
All right, so that could be anybody sitting and listening to this at the moment and thinking, oh,
Yeah.
We will take any who are open, even if they do not understand exactly what it is that they want in the activation. For there are going to be some that resonate and they go, this, I need this now, but what is my intent? I don't know, but I know that I know that I know that I know that I need it. And we would say to those, that is your intent. That is the knowing that you need to do this is enough to be connected in. Because once you have received it, it will create the ripple effect inside of you of the awarenesses of what each of your holistic bodies need to bring the balance together. And then you may come for a second or even a third, and then you will say, oh, now I know, I am on my journey. I will continue to allow the healing to process in myself for as long as it is required.
wonderful. So it's a very empowering, self-responsible process.
Indeed, indeed.
Lovely. So Heather, tell us a little bit more about the sessions you've got coming up for the Pleiadian activations. You've got one coming up in New Zealand, one in Australia. I think just telling us a little bit more about that and what people who are interested in coming on prepare.
Okay. Well, anybody that's interested in our Pleiadian activation facilitators training needs to know that it's the type of thing that's very intensive energetically, very exciting, run over a 2-day period with Louise channeling Platorans for the whole 2 days, myself assisting, up to about 20 people maximum in a group. and we'll be teaching people how to facilitate the Pleiadian activation, the continuation on friends and clients. So this is for people that are wanting to actually take it much further in their life. And we will certificate it as well. We've got certification, and we will actually monitor it and oversee it. There's been a couple of dozen people in New Zealand and others throughout the world that have actually completed the continuation facilitation. So we're really excited to do it. We're hoping to be going to Australia very soon, east coast of Australia, the Gold Coast area, and running this, and very excited to be doing that. And we've been doing this for a number of years periodically. So is there anything you'd like to add around that, Platorans?
The only thing I would say is that all those who wish to learn the facilitation, receive first the continuation for yourself, so you have the deep centered understanding, knowledge, and comprehension of what it is, so that you are able, A, to identify with the receivers that come to you, and 2, you are able to answer questions from those that are coming to you once you have been through the course. What we would also say is that those who activate themselves or are able to feel and know that they are truly in this journey of self-healing and wish to take it further, I will bring my student, who is perhaps no longer my student, by the way, but works alongside me as a co-facilitator, a reiss, and he will teach that which is the self-activation of the continuation. In other words, once you are confident enough and you are able to identify the points and the realizations of who you are, you will be taught how to bring about the continuation activations within yourself for your ongoing healing. And this is why we say it is a self-healing modality, and it is our desire as Pleiadians, as galactic humans, as all of those that are connected with the high councils. It is our desire that humanity relearns to heal itself. And that is what we will say on that. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. And that just reminds me of a wonderful experience that I had with Heather and Lou with reiss and Platorans. And I'd say to those of you listening, that is something quite magical when a reiss gets involved as well with Platorans. It's an amazing experience, well worth doing. The self-activation in particular, very magical. Alrighty, so is there anything else we need to know at this stage? Anything else that's good?
I think we've covered it pretty well.
I will release this one. We thank you for your attendance and for your permission to speak. We will let the one Louise return back to you so that she may be here for this. Yes?
Lovely. Thank you, Platorans.
Needless to say, facilitating with the universal energy, the Pleiadian activation, the continuation is just a wonderful thing to do as a facilitator. It just feels so humbling, so amazing to be that hose pipe of the universe, and it's actually incredible, especially when I get to work alongside Platorans, and those that do the facilitators training, of course, will be working right alongside that energy for the 2 days. It's pretty exciting and it's great fun. And it's you don't walk away the same person. You can't possibly walk away the same person. Everything changes energetically. You become changed once you've had the continuation. Once you, excuse me.
Once you've gone through the course.
What?
Also, one thing that I've noticed that, and it seems to be a tradition of Platorans with those that do the facilitation facilitators course, is he always, before everybody leaves, he gets them to stand almost in a semicircle, and he joins, he shakes hands with them, but in the Pleiadian way. And I'm not going to spoil how that happens.
It's very beautiful.
It's a very beautiful thing. And he imparts to them almost like a personal message for them ongoing, and it's really, really powerful. I don't want to set Platorans up and everybody else up, but I have noticed that that is how he seems to end every facilitator's course, because he recognizes the change that everybody goes through, and he wants to seal it as they go forward. So yeah,
really good. Alrighty, so people can find out through your website, which, oh, not your website, your Facebook page. Which one?
Yeah, well, we've got another link too, which we which we will have here if people aren't here already. Excuse my throat. And so it depends. Thank you. That's better. So it depends where they're looking at this video. If you look, depends where you're looking at it. There will always be a link to find out about the training courses coming up, or to find out about having your own continuation Pleiadian activation. Okay, so we'll always have a link close by to our video. But so there'll be always something around. Ascension Explorers in Action Facebook page, and also our group. That's where you can find a lot of our other stuff as well.
absolutely.
YouTube, Ascension Explorers in Action. We'll have this up there as well. And yeah, we've also got our website, which we're reformatting at the moment. So yeah. But Claire, thank you. You've been great.
I really appreciate your questions.
I'm really looking forward to interview number 2. We find out a bit more about your cosmic connection and your romance, and how you came about creating Ascension Explorers in a little bit more detail. So we look forward to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.